The Eagles sitting back this weekend, relaxing, preparing for the divisional round. But today I'm going to tell you why I think Nick Sirianni made a brutal mistake in the process. What is going on, everyone? RB here. Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. You know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button on this video if you do enjoy the content, and hit that red subscribe button down below. That way you do not miss any of the upcoming Eagles coverage. Today we are back, and honestly, I think Nick Sirianni slipped up a little bit. I think he made a bit of a mistake. I don't think he meant to, but we will get into that more in depth as we go on here with the show. The Eagles trying to get healthy, sitting back this weekend, scanning the playing field, remaining, as that number one seed, waiting to see who their matchup will be. Who do you think it'll be? Let me know down below in the comments section. Before we get into that conversation, though, let's start off with an update and some positives about this Eagles team. We begin with some news. This coming from Josh Tolentino today on Twitter. He says, with the Eagles on a bye week as the one seed, Coach Nick Sirianni has scheduled 2 practices on Thursday and Friday. Additionally, Jalen Hurts is expected to speak to the media tomorrow, so we will update you on what he says. Eagles will host a divisional round game January 21st or 22nd at the Linc. The playoffs run through Philadelphia, so it's good to see Nick adding in some additional practice time, trying to get these guys together. Obviously, the team as a whole is trying to get more on a common note and just get healthy. The last couple games have not been perfect by any means, but now they have some time to reflect and to go over things and really hone in for that divisional game. Also, let's talk real quick about a couple cool stats. Number one, this comes from John Clark on Twitter. Did you know, little fun fact, the Eagles are the last NFL team to win the Super Bowl as a number one seed? I think it's been done about 5 or 6 times in the last 15 to 20 years, and the Eagles are the last team to do so back in 2017. Shout out to that team. What an incredible run it was. Hopefully Eagles Nation will see them go on another one. And how about this coming from the actual Eagles Twitter page? Our list for all pro nominations goes on. They put the little SpongeBob picture here with the long list with Gary. Gotta love it. Look at this, man. Let's just read off some of these insane stats. What a year it was. One of the best years in franchise history. A lot of records set, a couple records almost set. How about Josh Sweat? Josh Sweat is the first NFL defensive lineman with 11 sacks and 1 interception touchdown since 2018. He had a career high in tackles, 48, 15 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 47 pressures, 23 hits. What a year for Josh Sweat. Hopefully he can get healthy for that playoff game. You have Fletcher Cox, 43 tackles, 7 sacks, 14 hits. You have Dallas Goedert, first among tight ends in yard after the catch. He missed some games. You have Landon Dickerson, who's already showing up and showing out as a young guy in this league, already, potentially taking over for a guy like Kelsey when he leaves. Dickerson has been amazing. TJ Edwards was the second highest graded off-ball linebacker. You have CJ Gardner-Johnson tied for the NFL lead with a career-high 6 picks, and he also missed 5 games. And the list goes on and on. Devontae Smith, you could put A.J. Brown on here, Miles Sanders. The list goes on and on and on and on. Jalen Hurts, of course. And it's just been a magical year for the Philadelphia Eagles. So shout out to everyone on the squad. This has definitely been a collective unit, and hopefully they can bring it all together as they prepare for what'll be an interesting playoff run for sure. A lot of people have been debating whether the NFC is actually weak, and when you look out there, not as much experience as prior years. So will the Eagles be able to take advantage? Now, let's talk about Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. So obviously Jalen Hurts played that New York Giants game. He was not 100% healthy. This came out from every source, and he went 20 for 35. He didn't play too bad. He didn't play too good. Just kind of getting back in the rhythm, getting back in the swing of things. He slid a lot, didn't take any hits. He got sacked a couple times, but overall, he tried to protect himself. And he said after the game, he was playing in pain, but again, that mentality from Jalen Hurts was not going to let him sit out that game. After sitting out the previous ones, Jalen Hurts had to play that game. He knew what was at stake. He needed to win that game for the Eagles. and he's just a winner. You know, he comes out and gets the job done. The Eagles offense wasn't really, you know, clicking that much, but they also were not throwing a lot out there to be seen, right, on display. So anyway, Jalen Hurts came into that game and he was injured, and then he played and he threw the ball a decent amount of times. You could argue they should have ran more, but what Nick Sirianni said the next day is very, very alarming. And here is the quote from Elliott Shore Parks on Twitter. He put the entire quote. He says, "This is not the kind of quote you want to see about the Eagles franchise quarterback heading into the playoffs." Now let's read this. So the question was from Tim McManus. He says, with Jalen Hurts' shoulder, how did he come out of the Giants game physically? Is he going to have to play through the pain the rest of the way? Is that your understanding? And here's what Nick Sirianni said in response. The second part of that, I'm not sure I can answer that question. We are fortunate that we have 2 weeks till the next time we play. Depending on if it is Saturday or Sunday, we are fortunate there. Again, he's going to be a little bit healthier than what he was obviously the other day. He came out sore as expected. He came out of that game sore because it's still healing, right? Like, we didn't feel we were putting him at any more risk of getting more injured, but we knew it was going to hurt him like hell. He knew it was going to hurt him like hell. That's the kind of player he is. That's the kind of teammate he is. He fought through it because it was important for him to be out there. He knew how important it was for him and his teammates to be out there. Now, at face value, yes, this is great. A little bit of rah-rah in there. Yes, Jalen Hurts is a winner. Like I said, he is a dog. He wanted to win. He went out there, got the job done. That is perfectly fine. I think Nick Sirianni could have potentially made a fatal flaw here because as a head coach, he should not have revealed this information. He should not have went out there and said, first off, you know, I'm not sure I can answer that question. You should have been confident if you are going to answer the question, but also you can't say it's going to hurt him like hell. That game hurt him like hell. You know, he first primarily said that he wasn't worried about more injury, but when you say he's out there playing through pain and it's hurting like hell, you are now signaling to every other defensive coordinator that is scanning, that is watching, that could be a potential playoff matchup that, oh, Jalen Hurts is still in pain. And all of the sources have come out and still said, you know, he's playing through injury. And I diagnosed this a couple weeks ago here on this show saying, you know, I'm not a doctor, but the more and more they continue to put this off, the more he sits out, the more they continue to be really up in the air with this, I'm starting to think it's more serious than a lot of people imagined. And I think we see now, you know, the injury is worse than what we saw at face value, and he's going to have to play through some pain. He's not going to be 100%. Now, will that impact the way he plays, whether he decides to tuck it and run, whether the Eagles drop some plays for him to hold it on himself and try to extend the chains? That is a great question. And I think it'll definitely, you know, depend on the pain tolerance, right? The Eagles offense is obviously more dynamic with Jalen Hurts out there, but now that these defensive coordinators hear this stuff, now that they have this information, you know what those opposing defenses are going to do. They're going to attack him quickly in games. They're going to bring that heat. And those guys up front, guess what? They hear this. This is like bait. They're going to go at that shoulder. They're going to go at Jalen, try to dig him into the ground a little bit. And I just don't think it's smart. I'm sorry. I just don't think it was smart of Nick Sirianni. He was talking, and sometimes he does slip up a little bit. You cannot reveal anything. Now, I'm perfectly fine with saying we don't know, you know, how he's going to play and this and that. Don't give too much, but you can't go to the other end of the spectrum. You can't say, oh, he's hurting really bad. Yeah, he's going through pain and, you know, he wanted to be out there and he had to fight through it. No, don't do that, because now teams are going to design their game plans a little bit differently. Now they are going to attack Jalen Hurts, and that's just not a wise move on behalf of the head coach. Now, he did say, we do have 2 weeks, and that is the optimism. That was the point of getting that number one seed. You had to do it. It would have been nice to have completed that the week before. That way he would have had another week not having to play, resting that shoulder. But we're talking about the quarterback here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the most important position on the field. And Jalen Hurts has been an MVP candidate this year, and he needs to be on top of his game come playoff time. At the end of the day, a wise person once said to me, if there's nothing to say, don't say anything at all. Nick, keep your mouth shut. Don't let anything else get out. If you want to go the next 2 weeks, I know the media will be drilling him with questions, which does get frustrating sometimes. But you know what? Answer it the way you have been. Answer it the way you have been. We don't know. We'll take it day by day. We'll see how it goes. Do not reveal anything more. Do not give these teams more intel and more ways of attacking come playoff time. Those are just my thoughts. I want to hear from Eagle Nation. Let me know how you feel about this down below in the comment section. Will Jalen Hurts be healthy enough to play his game in a couple weeks, in a week and a half? Let me know your thoughts. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and like always, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.